Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review a new fantasy musical romance, The Greatest Hits. And this is from writer-director Ned Benson, who this film is going to be releasing on Hulu. And this particular film focuses on Hare, played by Lucy Boynton, whose her now deceased boyfriend, played by David Corenswet, he keeps appearing in these time-traveling memories. Whenever Hare hears a song from her past with her relationship, she's transported back in time to that moment. And she's trying to process all this while falling in love with Justin H. Min's character. And we have this new romance as she's desperately trying to get past the grief of her previous one. And Min's character is also going through grief. They meet in a grief counseling session run by Retta from Parks and Rec. And you have this story, you have this time travel. This film doesn't seem too keen on focusing on the logic of the time travel. Obviously there's this mechanism, this is how it happens, but there's not a lot of logic into why it's happening, how it's happening, and you just kind of expect it to be like, okay, fine, whatever, it is what it is. You're also not quite sure what the purpose of this is, because I think one of the most frustrating things about this film for me was this relationship with Max. Was Hare truly deeply in love, and this was the love of her life, while she has her gay best friend who's you were never really together long enough to really know if it was going to work out, and you're just so is this really about the grief? Is it about the actual relationship? And I think the film struggles to define that for itself. And functionally, it's trying to stop maybe this relationship from ever happening. And there's a lot of destiny that gets involved in this story. I feel like this high concept idea works in theory with the themes that the film is trying to deal with in terms of grief. It's a pretty obvious one, you're literally getting stuck in the past, but I don't know if the film really handles it perfectly. It's definitely flawed in the way that it's trying to navigate its themes, but the other motif of the film is music and how music connects us. And I feel like that aspect of the film hits. How the music is used in this. Music could be so essential to film because it is a visual and auditory experience all rolled into one. And I feel like the music in this film really connects and leads to some of the more poignant and impactful scenes in the film. And there are some deeply emotional, impactful sequences. I think Lucy Boynton and Justin H. Min work really well together. I feel the chemistry between these two characters. I can understand why they're falling for each other. I think Min's character gets enough setup and backstory and his own grief. He has his relationship with his sister, played by Andy Ju, and I feel like there's enough there to make him a functioning character. He isn't just some person. And I think that's the biggest issue with Max is I don't really get much from their interactions in the past. I'm never really sold on why they were in love together in the first place. All I keep getting told is he was the love of my life. But why? We never see that. We never really see that connection, never bought it. So I'm definitely in Justin H. Min's corner here, and it's that motivation and trying to see how Hare can make their relationship work out is, I think, the driving force of the film, and that's what hooked me into feeling more engaged in this film. I think Boynton is great. She really delivers a strong central performance to anchor this, and I think this film has a lot of interesting elements going for it. It's not consistently coming together. I do think that this is a 94-minute film. It's not a big undertaking. It moves relatively well, and it gets you to a point where it feels like there's closure. And it might feel like a real long about way of trying to get there, which, to be honest, that was the journey that Hare's going on in this film, is that breaking this cycle. And I feel like the film at least delivers on finally hitting something satisfying in the end. And I guess in the end, that's why this feels like at least a watchable, musically inclined, worthwhile experience. I'm not saying this is a good film. It's a fine, solid little film that has a nice romance at the center, kind of muddled by some of its other elements. But in the end, it's something that, especially if you're into romance films, I think this will definitely strike a chord there. But those are my thoughts on the greatest hits. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland Reviewer.